You know that feeling when you just can't stop replaying a conversation in your head over and over again? It's a super common experience, and believe it or not, it's not just some weird glitch in your brain. So today, we're going to dive into exactly why our minds get stuck on this replay loop, and more importantly, how we can finally hit the stop button. Okay, let's get real. It's 2 a.m. You should be fast asleep, but nope. Your brain has decided this is the perfect time to dig up that one super awkward thing you said at a party like 3 years ago. You can literally feel yourself cringing all over again, right? That heat in your face, ugh. Why does our brain do this to us? What is happening in that moment? Well, first things first, if that sounds even a little bit familiar, I promise you are not alone. This little mental replay button is actually a feature of the human brain, not a bug. And it turns out there's a pretty fascinating reason behind it all. Understanding that is the first step to finally getting some peace and quiet in your own head. So what is going on here? Well, it all comes down to this psychological quirk known as the Zeigarnik Effect. And honestly, it's all about your brain's obsession with unfinished business. So this Zeigarnik Effect, it's a really simple but powerful idea. Basically, our brains are hardwired to remember unfinished or interrupted things much more clearly than the things we've actually completed. Just think of it like a computer with way too many tabs open. Your brain just feels cluttered and it can't relax until those tabs are closed. And that is exactly what happens with that awkward conversation. Your brain doesn't just file it away under done. Oh no, it flags it as an unfinished task, like an unsolved mystery. So it keeps hitting replay on that moment, trying to figure out a better outcome, a wittier comeback, anything to solve the puzzle and finally close the loop. But you might be wondering, why does our brain care so much about one little social slip-up? Well, the roots of this go way, way back. We're actually talking about a primal survival instinct that's still running in the background of our modern lives. Think about it. For our ancient ancestors, being part of a group wasn't just nice, it was a matter of life and death. If you got kicked out of the tribe, you lost your access to food, to shelter, to protection. Your brain has not forgotten that lesson. So even a tiny social mistake today can set off this ancient alarm system, making a moment of embarrassment feel like a genuine threat to your survival. And here's the wild part. This open loop system is actually designed to be helpful, right? It's the same system that nags you to finish that important work email before you clock out for the day. But when that exact same system gets stuck on a social blunder, like telling the waiter, you too, when they say enjoy your meal, it just gets caught in this totally pointless and kind of painful loop. So the big question is, how do we tell our brains, hey, thanks for the warning, but we're okay? The trick is to give your brain that feeling of completion that it's so desperate for. Let's walk through 3 really practical ways you can close that mental loop for good. All right, here are 3 simple ways to signal task complete to your brain. First up, write it down. The physical act of getting the thought out of your head and onto paper actually tricks your brain into thinking the problem's been dealt with. Second, get some perspective with the 5-year rule. Just ask yourself, is this really going to matter in 5 years, or 5 months, or even 5 days? Suddenly, that huge survival threat shrinks down to the size of a tiny kitten. And third, reframe it. Instead of just focusing on the cringe, find one tiny thing you learned. That simple act of finding a lesson gives the memory a purpose, and that lets your brain finally file it away. At the end of the day, these techniques aren't just about stopping one annoying thought. They're really tools to help you build a kinder, more compassionate relationship with your own mind. Because here's the most important thing to remember. You're gonna say awkward stuff again. We all are. You're gonna have clumsy moments. That's just part of being human. The real goal isn't to be perfect. It's to get better at letting it go. To stop punishing yourself for just being a person. So the next time that mental tape starts rolling, just try to pause for a second. Ask yourself this: if my best friend was telling me this story, what would I say to them? I bet you'd be kind and reassuring. So take a breath and offer that exact same kindness to yourself. Seriously, what would change if you could just make that your new go-to habit?